Russell's wart.
He's John Candy as Uncle Buck.
Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam, and welcome back to Hugh-Vember, where I'm covering a select few movies directed by John Hughes, because he's a director that I've never really touched on before. I've already covered The Breakfast Club, link in the eye in the right-hand corner. But for right now, let's dig into, if we're going on how many times I've rewatched it, my overall favorite John Hughes movie, period, Uncle Buck. This was released in 1989. It starred John Candy, rest in peace, Amy Madigan, among others, and it tells the story of a guy named Buck Russell, played by John Candy, who is the black sheep of his family. He is pretty much never invited to any gatherings whatsoever. He is on the outs. But he is called upon by his brother, as his wife's father has a heart attack, and they literally have no one else to turn to. Considering the fact that Buck is unemployed, has a mild gambling addiction, and, well, no real prospects in life, he easily is able to take the job. But Buck has a heart of gold, and that heart of gold rubs off on his nieces and nephew. The nephew is played by a debuting Macaulay Culkin, who a year after this would only star in one of the biggest movies of 1990, Home Alone. You may have heard of it. Exactly remember when I first watched this for the first time. All that I do know is that I have seen this movie the most out of John Hughes' films. It's the one that I remember the most. It's the one I quote the most. I would argue it's not his best directed movie, but in terms of the best overall performance, I would give this easily to John Candy in this movie, because Buck Russell is very much like, he's a bit of an oddball. He packs a very weird school lunch. You can definitely tell he is a commitment phobe. Like, he's very lazy. He can be just very avoidant of any form of responsibility. But he is the best guy, like, when he is on, like, and when he is asked to look after the kids while his brother and his wife are gone, he takes the job seriously. And whether they like it or not, he injects himself into his nephew and niece's lives, much to the oldest niece, Tia's, chagrin. John Candy, sadly, he is no longer with us, and he just delivers in this movie, because he is not only capable of being really funny. A couple of my favorite scenes are when basically anytime he is just busting the balls of Bug.
What's his last name? Spray?
Tia's love interest, but specifically one where he's like, you know, Bug, I know we started off on the wrong foot, but maybe we can bury the hatchet. You do know what a hatchet is, right? And Bug is like, it's an axe. And then Buck is like, well, sort of, kind of, but it's more like a tool, really. Like, you can, chop wood, chop the skin off the old kneecap. Like, come on, I'll show you mine. Like, I'll show you my hatchet. And Bug is completely freaked out by this, and he's just like, yeah, Tia, you better go. I don't want him turning an axe on me. And Tia's like, he's all talk, come on. And then sure enough, the next frame, Buck's like, here it is, and he has his hatchet in clear view. It's so funny. I love that scene. And then when Buck goes to see his youngest niece, Maisie's principal, and this principal goes on this indignant rant about how Maisie is just a bad student. Buck is just like, if I ever hear you even look at a child the wrong way, I'm going to come and find you. I want you to take this quarter, go downtown, and have a rat gnaw that thing off your face. Amazing. Oh, and he punches a clown. If you sent Buck Russell against Pennywise, I know who my money's on. But I want to give a special shout out to Jean Louisa Kelly, who plays Tia, because when I was first watching this when I was younger, I never liked Tia. Not for any particular reason other than I just thought that she was annoying. I kind of thought that she was just, I just thought she was annoying and mean, and like Uncle Buck was like just the greatest dude, and she just was the complete opposite of him in every way. But as I've gotten older, I kind of understand why she is the way that she is. it doesn't go too deep into the details, but the movie does a good job of showing that when the family moved to the suburbs, she didn't like it. She moved away from her friends, and she just developed this very passive-aggressive attitude to pretty much everyone. And there's nothing to say that, like, her attitude is definitely sour, but it's not coming from a completely out of bounds place, if that makes any sense at all. But Tia is more than capable of, being incredibly sympathetic, especially near the end of the movie. And because this is a John Hughes movie, there is a lot of dark undertones here. I won't go too deep into the specifics, but there's a scene near the end of the movie where it seems very likely that Bug wanted to do something sexual with Tia. Tia didn't like it, and Bug didn't take too kind to the rejection. Again, the movie doesn't show anything, it just implies. And even when I was younger, watching this as like a middle school, high schooler, I picked up on what the movie was going for. But Jean Louisa Kelly is mad underrated as an actress here. She's great here. She was Sarah Kazansky, like Iceman's widow in Top Gun Maverick. So she's still acting, and she did a great job in Top Gun Maverick, and she does a great job here. I also want to, before I forget, shout out Macaulay Culkin. Again, he would go on to do Home Alone and other things. But Gabby Hoffman as well, who plays Maisie. She has a few good scenes as well. And Gabby Hoffman is still acting, mostly in smaller stuff, but she's still acting today as well. At the end of the day, this is the John Candy show. That he's going from just the sidekick or the friend of the main character to the main character. And he takes to it like a duck to water. It pains me that John Candy is no longer with us, because if he were still acting today, I think he would still be crushing it. Maybe he'd even get an Oscar. Sadly, we will never know. But I'm giving this movie an amazing grade. Uncle Buck may just be my favorite overall John Hughes movie. I'm sure there are better ones out there in terms of other aspects, but for me, this one will always be my favorite. But I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of Uncle Buck? Let me know in the comments. I would love to read what you have to say. And next time in Hugh-Vember, I'll be tackling another famous John Hughes movie, and one that I think has gotten better, in my opinion, the more that I've thought about it and gotten older. Kind of the trend with John Hughes, but for me, I liked it okay initially, but the more I've thought about it, it's gotten better. I'm talking about Ferris Bueller's Day Off. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.